Tapping the valve cover helps to release the cover from the cylinder. By pumping the kickstarter with your hand, the engine components will slowly move to the right position for adjusting the valves. The exhaust valve is the valve closest to the exhaust pipe, and the intake valve is the valve closest to the carburetor. As the rocker arms move, the exhaust valve springs begin expanding. This pulls the exhaust valve closed. At the same time, when the intake valve springs begin to compress, the intake valve begins to open. When the two valves are exactly at their halfway points of travel, they are in overlap with each other. This occurs when the engine is in the top dead center position. It's when the two valves meet each other at their halfway points that you should also see a timing mark in the flywheel window. The timing mark tells you that you have positioned the valves correctly. Let's see that again. The firing mark is the first mark to appear in the window. The top dead center mark will appear afterward and will just become visible in the window before the firing mark disappears from view. As long as either mark, or even both marks, are visible in the window, the tappet clearance can be adjusted. To adjust the tappets, first slacken off the lock nut. Now the adjustment nut can be adjusted. Insert the feeler gauge between the rocker arm and the tappet and tighten the adjustment nut so that the feeler gauge is just held in place. Now use a wrench to maintain the position of the adjustment nut while the lock nut is retightened. Check that the feeler gauge is still gently being held in place. If the tappets have been adjusted correctly, there should be a small amount of movement in the rocker arms when the feeler gauge has been removed, and the push rods will still be free to spin. Now repeat for the other valve on that cylinder. When one side is done, put those valves in overlap and adjust the clearance of the other cylinder's valves.